The highly anticipated dialogue will be the third engagement since February between Chinese President Xi Jinping and his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden. It also comes days after both countries pledged to increase cooperation and speed up action to rein in greenhouse gas emissions at the recently concluded UN climate talks in Glasgow. Upon taking office, Biden and his administration have been focused on tackling domestic issues like vaccinations and partisan politics, while working abroad to repair alliances and partnerships that atrophied under his predecessor. But Washington's hostility towards China has persisted, ranging from an increase in trade tariffs to expanding U.S. military incursion in the Taiwan Strait. Over the course of the last several years, relations between the two countries have grown more complex and tense across a range of security, economic, and political issues. In a high-profile meeting between top Chinese and U.S. diplomats in March in Anchorage, Washington lost no time criticizing Beijing over groundless claims concerning Hong Kong, Xinjiang, and Taiwan, while Beijing hit back at the U.S. for interfering in China's internal affairs. Recent visits by U.S. government officials and lawmakers to the Taiwan region and the deployment of U.S. military vessels in the South China Sea have worsened the bilateral friction and raised the question of U.S. adherence to the One China policy. These serve as the backdrop for Tuesday's virtual summit between Xi and Biden. For some insight into what they hope to accomplish, I talked to Dr. Wang Wen, the executive dean of Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies at Renmin University. Dr. Wang has authored dozens of books on China's rise on the world stage and the U.S. response. I asked him, so what top-line issues could emerge?
Have the meeting. It's much better than none. The main topic remains how U.S. and China can handle their current differences with mutual respect and equality, so as to make greater contributions to the development of the world.
Why is it important for two presidents to meet, even if it's just virtually?
In the past, we know China and the U.S. had more than 100 channels of dialogue, but now some of those channels have failed, and some are dormant, and some are ineffective. So this makes the meeting of the head of state diplomacy more important. The two heads of state are the last guarantee to prevent the two countries from falling into conflict, and the greatest force to promote the countries to turn to cooperation.
In the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State's meeting in Tianjin with the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in July, China presented to the U.S. a list of 3 red lines that U.S. must follow in order to prevent bilateral ties from further deteriorating. So can we expect a discussion on this?
President Xi has a good personal relationship with President Biden, and then President Biden has been to China many times. So I believe President Xi must tell President Biden very frankly, the current U.S. policy towards China is not conducive to bilateral relations as well as the world. In fact, Biden inherited Trump's China policy on many issues such as Taiwan, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, human rights accusation, and so on. So I hope President Biden will gradually de-Trumpization. If so, a joke, Biden will become an old friend of Chinese people in future. This is the highest honor from China.